In the previous video, I talked about how to pay attention to your feelings and why it's actually very, very useful that you do. Now, if you're starting to question the context of that, I do recommend that you watch the previous video. Otherwise, you'll find that a lot of the points here won't make as much sense. In my daily discipline chart, I have 4 different sections that influence you to be more or less disciplined. This comes from the idea that to be disciplined, you have to use very little of your mental energy on discipline to get a lot of tasks done. After all, we only have 2 types of systems. We have the slow system, the fast system, and the slow system, which is the one that is disciplined, it's logical, costs a lot of energy. So you usually want to be in the fast system, which saves energy, but is primal and habitualistic. Now, that doesn't mean that being in the system is bad. It saves a lot of energy. You just have to set it up so that a lot of the time when it comes to doing tasks that are important to you, you're spending very little time here and a lot of the time here, where it's automatic and you're just used to doing it. Out of the 4 charts, only one of them is actually influenced by experience. The other 3 are purely knowledge-wise, and just taking immediate and direct actions can very quickly upgrade you on all 3 of these fronts. But the experience one that I'm talking about is framing, and it's all about the pain. This is why people who are experienced at discipline find discipline really easy. It's because they've had really hard lives, and so they're used to feeling the pain. So the way to raise framing is to pretty much go through difficult tasks. Now, if you've seen the first video that I've uploaded on these type of charts, you'd learn about misery here, misery and misery here. Now, misery is when you, again, go through hard things. And when you go through hard things, you really do not want to do hard things. So we're kind of getting in this clash. When you try to raise your pain, it actually gets really, really hard. And that's what a lot of people are running into. Because of this, you'll actually start going into the warning stage, the danger stage, and usually going into relapse. So how do we actually fix this issue so that you raise your discipline and without necessarily relapsing and running out of energy? Well, it comes with maximizing these 3 quadrants again, especially the resolve quadrant. The reason why some people are able to grow their discipline is because of their strong resolve, which will naturally make you increase in discipline. It's also about having their resolve. So they have very clear goals, good purpose, they're in touch with their desires, got rewards, got punishment, got identity, and they've set it up correctly. The other 2 quadrants are important as well. You'd want to maximize the perceived reward as much as possible and minimize the perceived cost. You want to be as healthy as possible while doing it, and overall just set up in a way where you can still be disciplined. The kind of situation you want to be in is where you're forced to be disciplined when you really don't want to. Again, when you're forced, it's not supposed to be a choice. And a part of this is purpose and goals. A lot of people, when they have high purpose, high goals, and are in touch with their desires, they kind of see it as something that they have to do no matter the cost. Even though they really do not feel like it, they're forced, they have to do it. Now, another great one is punishment. Punishment is a more direct way to say to your brain, hey, we are going to do this, otherwise bad things happen. And this is how how a lot of people naturally raise their discipline, especially when they're young, because they would have been punished. Since some people missed it or haven't had it enough, because of their low pain comparison and pain adjustment, they actually ended up being a lot less disciplined. You want to raise your resolve, but one of the greatest ways is to make it a punishment. And one of those techniques that I used is to just be accountable with your friends. The type of accountability that I'm talking about is not simple accountability. It is accountability to the point where if I don't talk, they know that I am not doing the right thing. I send hourly log sessions to my friends and also have tied in identity along with it. My friends see me as quite a disciplined person, so at that point I pretty much have to be hardworking, especially since I'm getting off YouTube now. Especially now that I'm creating these videos, I have even more of an identity that I have to follow, and if I do not, I get a direct punishment. That doesn't mean that the other 4 aren't as important, Having a good purpose, developing good goals, developing good desire is really, really good. And it's also important that you work on these two quadrants as well. You want to make it as straightforward to do the work as possible, meanwhile making it as hard as possible for any other options. If you were to erase all the other options so that you either worked or did nothing, it would be a lot easier for you to go through the work. Otherwise, you're just going to suffer the pain of boredom, and that would actually be really, really good for you. So erasing other options would be something like deleting social media or deleting your account on social media, password protecting your phone, installing app blockers, making it as hard as possible for other options to exist. The other one that I'd recommend looking into is habits and decision fatigue, making sure that you have as much energy as possible to consume on actually getting the work done and becoming more disciplined and convincing your brain to actually continue working. Now, how would you balance it with the points from the previous video that I've talked about, where you should be in touch with your feelings? Since I've talked about how you should see whether you feel like working for 5 minutes before dipping, if not, and then trying again. If you're miserable, you're really not gonna feel like it ever. Well, at that point, the reality is that you kind of still want to keep applying this, but at a higher threshold for what you consider to be really, really not working. What you should be measuring isn't necessarily the physical energy that you're feeling, but the mental. How much energy are you having to spend to convince yourself to continue working? If you have strong resolve and have worked on your energy reserves and motivation, then naturally you wouldn't need to. If you have worked on your resolve and have increased your motivation and energy reserves, then naturally you wouldn't have to convince yourself that much to work hard, because, well, at that point you kind of just have to. You've created a situation in which not working is not an option. And so you are willing to, even if it's really, really hard, go through the pain because there is no other choice. You've set up the game so that that's the only thing you can really do. And so when it comes to paying attention to your feelings, it's only when you're having to convince yourself to do the work, no matter what it takes, is when you start to burn your energy out. Otherwise, if you are finding that even after 5 minutes, you are alright with working just because you literally have to, you can keep working and it'll drain your energy, but not because of discipline. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Just before you click any other videos, just got a bit of an announcement. I am actually making a bit of an app to employ a lot of this and a lot of the other things I haven't mentioned in this video or in any videos yet that will help you get more disciplined. It'll create a few of the other systems to help you improve all of these sections. And I also do have a Discord server where you can join and talk directly to me and have a bit of a discussion about discipline. The links are below. It'll all be found in the Discord server.